Hello everyone, welcome to, I'd like to say welcome to a very special LR's Unlimited, but given the nature of this video, I'm actually going to make it available for two of my channels. For those of you who may have seen some of my videos before I started Outliers Unlimited, you might remember my channel Random Antix. I'm hoping to put this one on there as well, given the nature of this topic. It's both very personal and very special to my heart, and very relevant given the holiday coming up of the season. You see, because, well, as you know, Halloween is coming up, and just the same, a holiday was, well, an anniversary really, was just celebrated, Batman Day. And as you know, I've done a few Batman related videos, Comic-Con, Batman media tributes over the years, and well, I wanted to do one today because of what's called Batman Day, celebrating the first press release of the comic of the beloved Dark Knight. And a lot of you may be wondering, what does Batman have to do with people with disabilities? Well, that's, you get why I'm putting on Random Antix, but why am I putting on Outliers Unlimited? That is a fair question. A very good question, actually. And the reason being, because Batman and people like myself and people with autism, Asperger's syndrome, bipolar, depression, anxiety, OCD, plenty of neurodevelopmental disorders, and probably maybe some I'm not aware of or can't think of at the moment, have in common are, we all have one thing in common, and that is we both know what it's like to live with a mask.
Batman's just a symbol, Rachel.
No, this is your mask. Your real face is the one that criminals now fear. The man I loved. The man who vanished. He never came back at all.
When people hear the word mask, they think of, they probably think of like something you actually put on your face, like a costume or something firefighters wear, something like this, or maybe even a beekeeper, something like that. But I'm not talking about this, at least not this alone, no. I'm talking about, how shall I say this? I'm talking about the emotion, the meaning behind the mask, the creation of it. You see, some of you, for those of you who know the story of Batman, we all know the famous legend. A young Bruce Wayne lost his parents to a common mugger with a gun. He was just 8 years old, a victim to the crime, which was practically how the city ran itself. It was a tragedy. Basically, the city of Gotham ran by crime. It was the system. He was traumatized. He had to live with the pain every day. And people with disabilities, people like us, we have to live with our anxiety, with our stress. We have to live with our uncertainty, with how people treat us. And disability or not, everyone has traumas, everyone has bad experiences. But a clip from The Dark Knight Rises, one I like, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a brilliant actor, and scene with Christian Bale. He talks about how he had a situation like Bruce Wayne when he was a kid, losing his parents. And he was in the foster system, and for a while everyone understands. And like person with disability, unless they've had similar experiences or similar interests, passions, it's hard to find anyone you can talk to or relate to. And eventually, with the pain, with the loneliness, when you spend so much time being alone, being afraid, so uncertain, so confused. When we're babies, I learned when I was at college at Pitt State that when we're children, our brains are sort of plastic, you see. And that's why when we're younger, we can our brains can adapt or reshape how our brains work so we can um, push through traumatic situations. Unfortunately, as we get older, that that gene, the plasticity of the brain, it hardens, and you see, it becomes harder to adapt and to change to trauma. It stays with you, and sadly, it's even harder, at least in my experience, for someone with a neurodevelopmental brain. Or at least, again, that's my perspective. It may vary different cases, but bottom line, it's very hard because, with the trauma, with how fixated we can be, LCD compulsive. Everyone expects us to do the one thing we can't. Be everything they are. Be comfortable with what happened to us, with what we're dealing with our challenges, with our pain. Be normal, be like everyone else, and we can't. Whatever we're feeling, whatever we're dealing with, we didn't ask for it, we can't control it. We didn't ask for things to happen to us out in the world, they happen. And we don't always choose them. Sometimes our disabilities make it harder. Sometimes people's arrogance hurt us. Once, not long ago, I was driving from work. Good day. And I do see, I know construction's happening, but, I think I have a little time, or I don't know where it's going to happen. I'm driving, and, I'm trying to avoid being stuck in a left-hand lane. So I pull to the right. There is a truck, it's driving, and I just think it's part of the main road. And what happens is, it hits the brakes. But right before that, I see these two cones pop out of nowhere. And, it's a regular-sized pickup truck, but it's so big I can't see what's going on. And the construction wasn't supposed to start till the day after. Fortunately, I stopped as soon as I could. I hit the brakes and everything. But there wasn't any real instruction. No one made it clear. I mean, the truck was driving in the main traffic. For all I knew, it was just part of the everyday traffic. So I managed to, get the heck out. And honestly, I felt a little cheated. And I park in a parking lot near a little development a few blocks away. Public area, Subways, pizza shops, stuff like that. And I walked to apologize. No big deal. Basically, it was confusing, but I was all right. So I'm walking back, and what happens is, I'm walking, and it's like 17-30 seconds. I have to cross a street, and I hit the button, and I'm doing all right. I'm following along. I pay attention. Walk sign is up. I have 13 seconds before I have to be off the road. And there's a car with a young girl, maybe in a black car, I think. And she's trying to floor it to make the right turn signal. Sure, it's green, but I still have the right of way. I mean, totally not cool. So I'm panicking and being paranoid and scared because I had a great day at work, did everything right, used my head. This is what I have to deal with. I'm afraid because if it's something I did, I wasn't using my head or my disability got in the way. I worry about what I come home to my parents or what I have to tell them to my sister. I worry about what I look like to society. does something like this affect my job? Does it affect who I am the rest of my life? All because of something that I can't tell my disability or someone else. It hurts. And it bothers me for a while. People can't relate to this. And a lot like the scene in Justin Gordon-Levitt I mentioned that I want to show you. It took me a long time. A little too late. I've learned that moments like this and something that happened with campus security guard. I was having a bad moment. I had my first failed grade. My grandfather passed. I wasn't making any friends. I didn't have a path. It was a lousy year. I'm not excusing behavior, but I hope you understand why I was disrupted that day anyway. Campus security guard had found me. I tried to talk to him. I had a misunderstanding with him. I had a situation. I didn't know how to tell him about my disability. I mentioned the word condition. He said, no excuse, acting like a mule. I already felt like I didn't belong at the college I was attending. He made it clear that I could almost never belong there, at least by the system, in society. That I had to deal with that for a while. It took a long time. Like in The Dark Knight, which ironically I had just seen, I figured out you want to be part of society, you have to practice how you would talk to people. You have to think to yourself every day about how to better fit in with them, what they deem worthy of being accepted in their society, who's normal and who isn't. You have to study their behavior patterns, what they talk about. You have to study them like those zoologists at a zoo or African safari studying gorillas, you know, those kind of people. You have to study people as if you're studying a habitat. You have to practice smiling on your own when no one's looking, before bed and before I go to work in the morning. You have to vent everything in the car when no one's looking. You have to learn to hide the insecurity and the pain. Last I checked, that sounds like putting on a mask.
Then they want the angry little kid to do something he knows he can't do. Move on. So after a while, they stop understanding. They send the angry kid to a boys' home. I figured it out too late. You gotta learn to hide the anger. Practice smiling in the mirror. It's like putting on a mask.
The reason I love Batman is when I got older, I got a little more into the old cartoons and the stories. I learned more about them. I realized how hard life is in the world, and I learned about how there is injustice, all kinds of injustice. I understood more about corruption. I learned about the varieties of injustice. I learned more about my disabilities. I learned about how people are mistreated for all sorts of reasons. That was unfair. I learned more about my disabilities and others. The reason I got into social work was sort of the reason they had Batman exist. Batman was meant to show Gotham that the city belonged to the innocent, not the criminals and the corrupt. And when I was starting Pitt State, I wanted to become a social worker because I wanted to show people with disabilities, all people, that we didn't have to live in diversity, little groups. We were all one people. We didn't have to let people cast us out or make us live in shame or fear. We could be proud of who we were and what we were capable of. Find out what it meant to be our best selves. Reverend Fred Rogers used to say, things like, there are better ways. There's always something you could do with the mad that you feel. I've learned, especially this year, that he was right. I think, in a way, being Batman is what Bruce Wayne did with the mad that he felt. I'm not saying to go out, put on a mask, and fight crime. What I'm saying is, how shall I say this? Anger, sorrow, and trauma are all going to happen. My last year at college, my phone broke when I was expecting a very important call, and I couldn't film, as you can imagine, so I couldn't do that to cheer me up, and that even made me angry. Yeah, that didn't help. What did help was I was able to work on a comic book drawing I'm working on, and you know, it was a long night, it was winter, it was cold, but plus college, so, you know, but it got easier, got better. And another night, oh man, this one really hurt. Not only had I just found out I couldn't intern in my old school district, which I practically have been working on for 6 months or so, and I was basically a done deal, just short of a signature. Last minute, 10 days before finals my last semester, shot my internship, I find out I can't go. And the same night, I find out that a dinner I was invited to for a possible scholarship, I didn't get. I was heartbroken. I felt cheated. I felt like the universe just set me up to fail. No logic, no reason. Nothing I could do. We don't know logic. Sometimes it's just circumstantial, just sometimes it's rotten luck. Sometimes we do it to ourselves. Sometimes we don't know how to, you know, stress gets better of us because of our disabilities. Sometimes we don't, sometimes I can be socially awkward. I don't know how to interpret people, and they don't know how to interpret me. And I get it. That can be my fault too, but well, let's just say logic doesn't always apply to people like me, and it can hurt. And, well, let's just say Batman, especially Ben Affleck's Batman, helped me understand something in words in recent years. 2018, I think, when I started watching the movie again, I realized something about the world.
They taught me the world only makes sense if you force it to.
Powerful words, and true in my opinion. The world only makes sense if you force it to. Kind of wish someone in real life had said that as a famous quote. Can't argue with them. Unfortunately, we don't always get closure or peace. But we can choose what we do with it. We can choose how to press on. I keep trying every day. I wake up every day hoping I can work with kids that deal with what I dealt with as a kid, with the anxiety, with the fear, with the stress, with not being certain who they're going to be in life, who they're allowed to be because of where they live, who they are, where they come from. That's why I became a social worker. That's why I started the Outlier program. Why it was a dream. I hope to help children. I remember what it was like for me more and more. And I know that there's got to be a kid who feels what I did, if not maybe something more that I missed. How do I know there's not a kid just like me, or a kid that's capable of even more than I could ever be? There are kids just like me, probably. But the thing is, I want them to be better. I think we can all help them if we try. Things aren't easy, but I know it's hard to feel like to just wait for things to get better or worse. After my second year at community college, it got harder. I had good moments and bad, but And this year, I know it's been hard for everyone, staying at home. Like Bruce Wayne, only the opposite. I was lost, I was confused, felt like my life was taken from me, or paused. Felt like my life, everything about living was taken from me. I'd already not been able to, or felt like I couldn't live for 3 to 4 years. I was dying inside. My soul had been broken. And I tell you what, I was a ghost. I was a shell of my former self, or what I was becoming. And I was gonna, after high school, if I had had a clear path, you know, I could have been something great. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying I could have been a lot further ahead in life right now.
There's nothing out there for me.
And that's the problem. You hung up your cape and your cowl, but you didn't move on. You never went to find a life, to find someone.
Alfred, I did find someone.
I know, and you lost them, but that's all part of living, sir. But you're not living. You're just waiting, hoping for things to go bad again.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful for my life. I mean, I have some of the best parents I could ever ask for. Yes, I have a loving sister. It can be challenging, though. You know, being the only person you know like yourself, and even among peers and friends. Until I was 20, I never met anyone with similar dreams I could relate to. I've had friends I consider family. But it was hard, you know, feeling alone for a while. I had friends who made it easier. My parents tried. You know, I didn't make it any easier, but they always stood by me. They always supported me. I'm very grateful for them. They made me feel like I could belong in this world. They made me feel like I mattered. They gave me love. That's the greatest thing you can give your child is love. I'm very grateful. We have to have hope in this world. We have to believe people can be the best version of themselves. The whole purpose of my outline program was because I wanted people to stop being so prejudiced, so narrow-minded, to be more aware. People with disabilities. My father recently brought up to my attention, there was a thing about a year ago about driver's license stickers for drivers, for people with disabilities, so they're aware, that way that police don't question them, something like that. Thinking they're driving erratically and understanding that there's a logical reason, something like that. You know, I honestly thought it was a good idea. And like that, our legacy is to promote education and awareness. Kind of like Batman. The symbol of Batman was so it could shake people out of what's called apathy. It means the feeling of, actually it's the lack of feeling. It means sort of to, you know, they just accept it as the norm. They don't question anything. They just see tragedy and they just turn a blind eye. It's sad. I mean, I can't do that. I can't do nothing when I know people are hurt or in distress. People need help, I help them. As I check, people need to count on each other. That's why I became involved in social worker. That's why I wanted to work with children. That's why I've been centered about my disability and others, to help people.
People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Bruce Wayne. As a man, I'm flesh and blood. I can be ignored, I can be destroyed, but as a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting.
What symbol?
Something elemental, something terrifying.
Well, we're just about out of time for this video, and I want to thank you all for bearing with me. I guess what I've been trying to say is, in my own way, I feel like Batman, in a combination of imagination as well as history, and maybe looking at new ways to solve problems, is something that people with disabilities can relate to. It's a way to kind of make sense about the things that don't. And as I said earlier, I'm not saying that people who deal with problems or deal with issues because of their disability, or because society's made it unfair, or because they don't think or process or fit in with them, should, put on a mask, run around in public. What I'm saying is we have to be able to, we kind of have to find a way to adapt to our situation. We have to make sense about what doesn't. We have to learn new strategies in problem solving, dealing with our trauma. We can let it eat at us, or we can do something with it. That's why I started the YouTube channel. I wanted to give people a voice. It's also why I work on my comic book that I'm trying to do one day. I jog. I've been lifting weights recently. Not everyone has that option, but those are points. We all get hurt. But as Michael Caine said, and I love this quote, we fall down. In life, everyone's going to fall down, but, well, we need people and answers and symbols so we can learn how we can get up one day, and how we can keep going on for as long as people need us, to be something more, to make a life worth something more.
I wanted to save Gotham. I failed.
Why do we fall, sir? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
You still haven't given up on me.
Never.
Harassment! I see her!
Well, that's the end of the video. I want to thank you all for joining me and hearing what I had to say. Honestly, up until recently, a lot of these things have been personal, but I wanted to share these things because I want you to understand what this means, and to me, what a problem means to a lot of people out there in the world. I know that it's got to be hard for a lot of kids or young adults who deal with disabilities, like I have Asperger, autism, or bipolar, Tourette's, and maybe they don't have a disability. Maybe they just feel that way for another reason. But the bottom line is, we all feel alone. We all have our traumas. Some we're born with, some we're forced on, some we're just the unluckiest person in the world. But we decide what we stand for. We decide when we give up. That's what this video is about. This video is about courage. The courage to stand up. To keep building a life for ourselves and the people we love. The people who need us. I want to thank you all for joining with me, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos, letting me make this video. It means a great deal to me. Well, thank you all. Well, that's the end of the program. As you know, you can check out the comments or write a comment, like or dislike, both for Outliers Unlimited and Random Antix in this case. Check both channels for this video. And I guess if I were to say anything, Any final words, I guess, would be to live every day like you're Batman. And a happy Halloween to you all. Bye.